The rain hadn't stopped for 3 straight nights. Drops tapped my window like impatient fingers, reminding me I was still alive despite how hollow everything felt. I sat by the fireplace, swirling a glass of scotch, staring into orange flames dancing over dry logs. Silence occupied the room. Not peaceful silence, something heavier. Something watching. 2 years had passed since I signed those divorce papers. 2 years since Evelyn, my wife, the woman I once thought carved from starlight, betrayed everything sacred between us. I remember the scent of her perfume lingering after she left, mocking me. Jasmine and lies. I had discovered the truth through careless details. Missing earrings, lipstick stains on shirts I never wore, lies layered beneath smiles. She confessed eventually, but only after I cornered her with photograph. Her mouth trembled, but I didn't see regret, only fear of losing comfort. That's when I knew love was never truly mutual. It was a transaction I kept funding until bankruptcy. After she left, I moved across the city. Changed jobs. Sold the car. Bought a small cottage nestled near the edge of a forest. Far from people, far from memories. Peace. Or so I thought. My neighbors were distant. Just how I liked them. Except for one. Her name was Sienna. She arrived 6 months ago, moved into the vacant house across the narrow gravel road. Dark auburn hair, olive skin, emerald eyes that burned with questions I didn't want answered. She waved once. I nodded back. That was the extent of our interaction for weeks. Then, one evening, she knocked. I was fixing a loose shutter when I heard it. 3 knocks, soft, uncertain. I opened the door. She stood holding a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, wrapped in a brown coat, collar turned up, hiding most of her neck. I thought you might enjoy company, she said. Her voice carried a melody I hadn't heard in years, warm, inviting, careful. I don't usually, I started. Neither do I, she cut in. But I figured we could make an exception. We sat outside, under a creaking porch light. The wine was rich, dry, slightly bitter, just like her eyes. She didn't talk much. Neither did I. But the silence between us wasn't uncomfortable. It was shared, like both of us were exiles hiding scars under casual smiles. Over the next few weeks, she became a routine. Sometimes we talked about trivial things, weather, books, food. Other times, we said nothing and drank in each other's presence like addicts sipping forbidden liquor. I didn't ask about her past. She didn't ask about mine. Until one night. Do you believe people ever really change? She asked. Her voice trembled slightly. No, I replied. They just learn how to lie better. She nodded, as if I had confirmed something important. Then she leaned forward, kissed me, and left without another word. I didn't sleep that night. I tried convincing myself I wasn't attracted to her. But I was. Not just physically. Though God knows she had that dangerous kind of beauty, the kind sculpted by chaos, but emotionally. Emotionally, I was drawn to her like a moth dancing around a flame it couldn't resist. Still, I resisted. Until the storm came. It was late. Thunder cracked open the sky. My power had gone out. I lit candles, wrapped myself in a blanket, tried to ignore the howling wind. Then came the knock again. Sienna stood drenched, hair slicked to her cheekbones, mascara streaking down porcelain skin. My lights are out. Can I stay? She whispered. Of course, I let her in. She shed her coat, revealing a clinging black dress soaked through. She didn't shiver. She didn't flinch. She just walked past me and sat on the couch like she belonged there. We talked that night. Really talked. I used to love someone, she said, tracing a finger along the edge of her wineglass. He lied. Over and over. Said I was everything, but treated me like nothing. You ever felt like that? I hesitated. Yeah. Once. What happened to her? She's not dead. But I like to pretend she is. She smirked. Same. That night, nothing happened physically. But something else did, an understanding. A pact. Our pasts haunted us, and we both sought shelter in each other's brokenness. Days passed. We grew closer. She began coming over without knocking. Sometimes she brought books, other times coffee. One time she brought an old cassette player and danced in my living room to some jazz I couldn't name. We never discussed Evelyn. She never talked about her mystery man. We lived in the present, 2 broken clocks ticking in rhythm for the first time in years. Then, the police showed up. It was early morning. I just brewed coffee, wearing the same gray robe I wore every day. The knock was firm. Not Sienna's. I opened the door to 2 officers, both dressed in plain clothes, badges dangling like curses. "Mr. Arlen Cross?" the taller one asked. "Yes," I replied, voice cautious. "I'm Detective Harlow. This is my partner, Detective Singh. We'd like to ask a few questions." I swallowed. "What's this about?" "It's about your ex-wife, Evelyn Crane." I stiffened. "What about her?" "She's gone. Missing for over a week. Last known contact was in this area." My heart stilled. "What does that have to do with me? We haven't spoken in years." Detective Singh opened a folder, showed me a printed photo. My breath caught. It was Evelyn, but not how I remembered. Her eyes were sunken, face gaunt, hair uneven. She looked haunted. "She was seen near this address 3 nights ago," Singh said. "Do you recall anything unusual?" I shook my head. "No. I haven't seen her." "Any visitors recently?" I hesitated. My mind flashed to Sienna. "A neighbor, sometimes. She comes over for coffee." "That's it." "Name?" "Sienna." "I don't know her last name." They exchanged a look. Something unspoken passed between them. "We'll need to speak with her," Harlow said. "Is she home?" I turned my head. Her house across the gravel path stood still, curtains drawn, porch empty. "She might be," I said. "She keeps to herself." "We'll knock," Harlow said. "Thanks for your time, Mr. Cross. Don't leave town." They walked away without another word. I closed the door, heart pounding. Why would Evelyn be anywhere near here? And why did the police seem more interested in Sienna than in me? I looked out the window. Sienna's house remained still. But for the first time since she moved in, it looked wrong. Not empty. Ominous. The storm had stopped, but inside, the thunder had just begun. I didn't see her for 2 days. After the detectives came and went, I stood by the window, watching Sienna's house like a man tracking a predator he once mistook for a lover. No lights, no movement. Curtains shut tight. That vibrant energy she used to carry, laughter, coy glances, sideways smiles, all of it vanished behind walls that suddenly felt too thin. I knocked once. No answer. Waited. Knocked again. Still nothing. I left a note under her door. "Are you okay?" The police came. "Call me." No reply. That night I couldn't sleep. My thoughts unraveled, spiraling into territory I didn't want to revisit. Evelyn. Her voice. Her scent. Her betrayal. I thought I had buried her beneath layers of isolation, whiskey, and denial. But her name on a detective's tongue peeled back every scar like fresh skin. When Sienna finally returned, it was well after midnight. I heard her heels clicking along the gravel before I saw her. She wore red, a dress that clung to her body like sin itself. Lips matched the fabric, glossy and wet. Eyes met mine through the window. She didn't blink. I opened the door before she knocked. She didn't wait for permission. Stepped inside, heels echoing against wooden floors. Her gaze locked on mine, unblinking. "A predator." "You left a note," she said. Her voice was deeper tonight, slower. "I was worried." She leaned close, exhaled whiskey and perfume. "Don't be." I wanted to ask where she'd been, what she knew, why the police wanted her name. But every question dissolved the moment she pressed her hand against my chest. "I need this," she whispered. Then she kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't romantic. It was hunger made flesh. Fingers tore fabric, breath turned ragged, skin burned against skin. I didn't stop her. Couldn't. She devoured me like I was her last meal. We made love on the rug beside the fireplace, surrounded by half-lit candles and unfinished memories. Her mouth wandered, biting, tasting, owning. I'd never been taken like that. Like she wanted to erase everything that came before. And maybe I let her. Afterward, we lay in silence, tangled in sweat and breath. I stared at the ceiling, heart still thundering. She rested her head on my chest, fingers tracing invisible symbols into my skin. "You ever feel like the world's watching you?" she asked softly. "Lately? Yeah. I think I'm being followed." I turned my head toward her. "By who?" "I don't know. Maybe ghosts." "Ghosts don't knock on doors. Cops do." She stiffened. "You said the police came," she said. "What did they want?" "They were asking about Evelyn." She sat up, hair cascading over her shoulder like silk. "Your ex-wife?" "Yeah. They said she's missing." Sienna didn't look surprised. If anything, she looked amused. "You think I had something to do with that?" "I don't know. Did you?" She leaned in close, her breath hot against my cheek. "Would it scare you if I did?" "I'm not afraid of you." She smiled. "You should be." Then she kissed me again, slower this time, as if sealing a confession inside my mouth. That night, she stayed. We didn't talk. Didn't ask questions. Only bodies did the speaking. Over the next week, things shifted. She visited more often, stayed longer. Her possessions began appearing in small corners of my home: a toothbrush, silk scarf, a worn paperback she never read. It felt intimate, almost domestic. But there was always something off. A tension beneath her touch. Like she was running from something and using me as the finish line. One morning, I caught her staring at a photo of Evelyn I hadn't gotten around to throwing away. It was tucked inside a drawer, mostly forgotten. She must have gone snooping. "You loved her once," Sienna said, not turning around. "Yeah. Why?" "She used to be someone else." "So did I." She put the photo face down and left without another word. That evening, I went through her trash. Something I never imagined myself doing. I don't know what I was looking for. Clues? Proof? A reason? I found an envelope, torn in half, stuffed beneath makeup wipes and tissues. Inside, there were pieces of a printed email, half readable. One line caught my eye. "You should have left her when you had the chance. Evelyn deserved better." No signature. No sender. Just venom on paper. My stomach knotted. I remembered Evelyn's voice again, crying on the phone the night before the divorce. I thought he was just a friend. I assumed she meant the man she cheated with. But now, I wasn't so sure. The next day, the police returned. This time, they asked to come inside. Detective Harlow walked straight to the photo frame on my shelf. "You're still keeping memories of her?" he asked. "I forgot it was there." He turned toward me. "You said your neighbor comes around often." We went to her address. House was listed under a false name. Sienna Duval doesn't exist. I blinked. "What do you mean?" "We ran facial recognition. The woman you're calling Sienna, her real name is Maren Kay. She was connected to a domestic violence case 3 years ago. Suspected arson. Charges dropped. Victim refused to testify. That victim was Evelyn Crane." The room spun. "You're telling me my neighbor attacked my ex-wife?" "Possibly. We don't know the full story. But we're pretty sure she's not just a friendly stranger." I leaned on the wall, breath shallow. "You need to be careful, Mr. Cross. If she contacts you again, call us. Immediately." They left. I stared at my front door for hours. That night, she came back. No knock. Just the creak of the floorboards. I turned and saw her standing there, soaked again from rain, dress clinging, mascara smudged. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she whispered. "What's your real name?" She smiled. "Does it matter?" "Yes." She stepped closer, running a nail along the side of my neck. "You never asked before." "Why now?" "Because Evelyn's gone. And the police think you're involved." She tilted her head. "Do you think I'm involved?" "I don't know what to think anymore." She kissed me. Hard. Deep. And I let her. When we broke apart, I said, "Tell me the truth." Her eyes glittered with something like pain. "I used to love her. Before you did. Before she ruined everything." My mouth went dry. "What?" "We were together, once. Before you. Then she met you and decided men were easier to manipulate. She left me. Laughed about it. Said I'd always be second best." I took a step back. "So you moved in here? For revenge?" "No," she said, eyes wild now. "I moved in here because I wanted to see if you were like her. But you're not. You're worse." I couldn't speak. She turned to leave. Before she reached the door, she whispered, "Don't trust anyone who calls you theirs. That's how they get inside." She disappeared into the night. I stood in my living room, shirt soaked with sweat, mind filled with holes. The woman I'd slept with wasn't who I thought. Neither was the one I divorced. And now one was missing, and the other had just confessed to a past I never knew existed. I didn't sleep. Again. I sat on the couch, lights off, waiting. For truth. For another lie. For the next knock. I didn't hear from Sienna, Marin, for 3 days. Not a message. Not a whisper of movement from the house across the gravel road. It looked abandoned, like no one had ever lived there. Curtains drawn, mailbox overflowing. I told myself to walk away. To call the police. To burn whatever feelings I had left and never look back. Instead, I went inside. The front door wasn't locked. No alarm, no creak. Just a cold draft that kissed my skin as I stepped through. The place smelled like old roses and mildew. Half-finished coffee mugs, empty wine bottles, notebooks filled with handwriting that started soft, then devolved into violent scratches. Her bedroom was worse. Walls covered in photograph. All of Evelyn. Some recent, some from years ago. Some I had taken myself during our marriage, vacations, anniversaries, birthdays. Others I had never seen. Candid shots. Grainy surveillance. Evelyn at grocery stores. Evelyn walking alone. Evelyn laughing with someone I couldn't identify. And in the center of the wall, me. One picture. Crooked. Torn at the edges. My face circled in red ink, the word liar scrawled across my eyes. I staggered back, heart pounding. What had I stepped into? There were more clues. Letters unsent, journal entries soaked in obsession. She'd followed us. Me. Evelyn. Before the divorce. During. After. Maybe longer. A broken locket sat on the nightstand. Inside, a picture of Evelyn. On the back, "Forever mine." I left the house without touching anything else. As soon as I got home, I called Detective Harlow. "She's dangerous," I said. "She's obsessed with Evelyn. You need to find her." His tone sharpened. "Where are you now?" "I just left her house." "You need a warrant. That place is a shrine, and a crime scene. We've already been inside. Empty." She cleared everything out before we arrived. "What?" "I was just there." "You were trespassing, Mr. Cross. Don't go back." Click. They knew. And they were circling. Later that night, I received an email. No subject line. No signature. Just a video. I hesitated. Then played it. It started with Evelyn, sitting at my old dining table. Pale. Trembling. Her hands were bound. A tear rolled down her cheek. Then a voice behind the camera spoke. "Tell him what you did." Evelyn stared into the lens. "I lied. I cheated. I ruined everything. Tell him who you chose." She shut her eyes. "Marin." The camera panned to show Marin's reflection in a mirror. Red lips. Black eyes. A grin full of knives. Then static. I dropped the phone. There were so many layers of betrayal, I couldn't count them. Evelyn never told me about Marin. About their affair. About her past. And Marin, she hadn't just wanted revenge. She wanted closure. Or maybe chaos. Or both. I paced for hours, mind splintered. I'd been used. Again. But this time, I wasn't innocent either. I had invited Marin into my home. My bed. My head. And I let her carve space beside scars Evelyn left behind. The next day, police arrived. This time they didn't knock. "Mr. Cross, we have a warrant." My blood went cold. They searched everything, drawers, closets, attic. Took my laptop, my phone. Asked questions I couldn't answer. "Where were you on the night of April 3rd? "Here." "Anyone to verify that?" I almost said Marin. But I couldn't prove she existed anymore. They left without arresting me, but with a promise. "We'll be back." I watched them drive away, heart pounding like a war drum. The walls of my life were collapsing, one betrayal at a time. That night I sat in darkness. Around midnight I heard something outside. Not a knock. Digging. I crept to the back porch. Someone stood under the trees, half hidden by shadows. I stepped closer. A figure turned. It was her. Marin. She held something in her hands. A box. I didn't speak. Neither did she. She placed the box on the ground, turned, and vanished between the trees. I waited, then opened it. Inside was Evelyn's wedding ring. Burned at the edges. Melted slightly. Next to it, a necklace I gave her on our second anniversary. And a note. She lied to both of us. But I loved her more. Don't pretend you understand that kind of pain. I carried the box inside, set it on the table, and stared at it until morning. The next few days blurred. Detectives returned. They asked again about Evelyn. About Marin. About me. They weren't accusing. Not yet. But they were circling. Waiting for me to slip. One morning, I found a newspaper on my porch. Front page. Woman disappears amid love triangle mystery. The article included a photo of me, Evelyn, and Marin, though the name listed was false. Underneath it, sources claim jealousy, obsession, and infidelity may have led to the presumed murder of Evelyn Crane, who vanished earlier this month. No arrests have been made, but authorities are focusing on a former spouse and a mentally unstable woman believed to have stalked the victim for years. I tore the page to pieces. Was I guilty? Not of crime, but of blindness. I had ignored the signs, chosen pleasure over instinct, slept with someone whose heart beat entirely for another woman, let her inside my bed, my home, my life. Marin didn't love me. She used me to bleed Evelyn's ghost one last time. Then came the final blow. A USB drive arrived in my mailbox. No return address. I plugged it in. One file. Audio. It was Evelyn's voice. "Arlen, if you're hearing this, I'm probably gone. Or worse. I don't know how much time I have. I never told you everything. I wanted to. But I was scared you'd hate me even more than you already did." Pause. "Marin and I. It started before you and I got married. I broke it off when I met you, but she never let go. She sent letters. Showed up at work. Said if she couldn't have me, no one could." Another pause. Shaky breath. "I didn't leave you because I stopped loving you. I left because I thought if I did, she'd stop watching. But she didn't. She never did. I'm sorry. For everything." Click. I stared at the screen, numb. It wasn't lust. It wasn't romance. It was a war I'd stumbled into wearing a blindfold and an open heart. And I was losing. That night, I dreamt of fire. A house burning. Evelyn inside. Marin outside, dancing in red. I screamed, but no one listened. When I woke up, my phone was ringing. Unknown number. I answered. Her voice was calm. "She's still alive. For now." I froze. "You still want to know the truth?" Marin asked. "Yes." "Then come." Alone. She gave me an address. An abandoned farmhouse on the outskirts of town. My heart raced. I didn't call the police. Not because I trusted her, but because I needed answers more than protection. Before I left, I opened the box one more time. Wedding ring. Necklace. Note. Betrayal wrapped in velvet. Then I stepped into the night, heading toward the edge of everything I thought I knew. The road to the farmhouse was nothing but broken dirt and memory. Each bump in the gravel felt like a question I couldn't answer. I drove without music, without headlights, afraid light might scare away whatever truth waited in the dark. Marin's voice still echoed in my mind. She's still alive. For now. My knuckles were white against the steering wheel. I didn't bring a weapon. Just guilt and adrenaline. Not sure which was heavier. I parked under a crooked tree. The house loomed in the distance, sagging, forgotten. A single light flickered in the upper window, like a dying eye refusing to close. I stepped out. No wind. No birds. No sound. Every inch closer made my heart beat louder. The front door creaked open before I touched it. She was expecting me. The scent hit first, metallic, sweet, and wrong. Blood. Or rust. Or both. I moved slowly, eyes adjusting to the dim. The hallway stretched like a throat, wallpaper peeling like dead skin. I passed rooms filled with rot, shattered mirrors, scorched furniture, burned-out candles. Symbols carved into floorboards. A name scratched into every wall. Evelyn. She was everywhere. Even here. At the end of the hall was a red door. Not painted, drenched. Dried. Layered. I touched the knob. It turned. Inside, the walls were black. Completely covered in photos of me and Evelyn. Some I hadn't seen in years. Some I hadn't taken. Me at the grocery store. Evelyn walking alone. A perfect reconstruction of our lives. Every lie, every touch, every night. Marin stood in the center. Wearing the same red dress. Holding something in her hands. She smiled. I knew you'd come. Where is she? I asked. Marin tilted her head. She's been here the whole time. She stepped aside. There, bound to a chair, mouth taped, eyes swollen from crying, was Evelyn. Alive. Barely. My knees buckled. I rushed forward, but Marin stepped between us. Not yet, she said. You owe me a story first. I stared at her, rage building like fire beneath ice. What story? How you broke us. I blinked. I didn't even know you existed when I met her. But you took her anyway. Her voice cracked. You married her. Promised her forever. And she let you. Like I never happened. I didn't take her. She made a choice. She chose safety, Marin snapped. She chose the illusion of love over the truth of it. I looked at Evelyn. Her eyes pleaded. Tears streamed. She didn't tell me, I said. She never told me about you. She didn't have to. Marin's voice softened. You loved her with your eyes open. I loved her with mine closed. That's the difference. She moved to Evelyn and ran fingers down her face. Evelyn recoiled. She told me she wanted to be free, Marin whispered. So I gave her freedom. Took everything else away. No job. No friends. Just silence. You kidnapped her, I growled. I saved her from herself. I lunged. She stepped aside fast. A blade flashed. I felt it slice across my arm, hot, sharp. Don't make me kill you, she said. You already killed everything else. Marin laughed. A hollow, broken sound. You think I'm the villain in this story? You left her. When she needed you most. You ran. I stayed. I left because she betrayed me. She betrayed both of us, Marin spat. And I still couldn't walk away. Blood dripped from my sleeve. My vision blurred. Let her go, I said, voice cracking. Or I'll stop begging. Marin stared at me. Something behind her eyes shattered. Then she dropped the knife. Take her. I didn't wait. I rushed to Evelyn, tore the tape from her mouth, untied her wrist. She collapsed into me, sobbing. I thought I'd never see you again, she whispered. I should have looked sooner, I said. Behind us, Marin sat on the floor, staring at her bloodied hands. She ruined me, she said softly. Then you let her. I picked Evelyn up, carried her toward the door. Just before we reached it, Marin spoke again. She told me once she loved you more. But I knew it was a lie. She only said it to hurt me. I turned back. You need help. She smiled. I needed love. The last thing I saw before I stepped outside was Marin, closing her eyes as if going to sleep. I carried Evelyn through the night, both of us trembling. We made it to the road. A passing truck stopped. Called the police. Everything after that was chaos. Evelyn was taken to the hospital. I was taken in for questioning. Again. But this time, my story was believed. They found Marin later. Dead. Overdose. She left no note. Just walls of photos. And that box I still kept. In the days that followed, the press descended. Headlines twisted the story into something almost cinematic. Obsession turns deadly. Woman fakes identity to reclaim ex-lover. Missing wife found in lover's dungeon. But none of them knew the truth. Not really. Evelyn and I spoke little after that. Too much had been broken. She thanked me. Apologized again. But we both knew forgiveness wasn't the same as healing. I visited Marin's grave once. No headstone. Just dirt. I left nothing behind. And yet, every night since, I've felt her presence. Not as a ghost. As a memory. A mirror. A warning. Because somewhere along the line, love twisted into possession. Desire into punishment. And in the end, all three of us became exactly what we feared most. Alone.